It's time for The Drive with Q on Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game. Now, here's Q.
Good evening, everyone. 5 o'clock straight up on the East Coast. It is indeed a football Friday. What the frig? Friday edition of The Drive with Q. As always, I'm your host, Rich Canoon. You see that incredible shrinking hermano behind the glass. Mi hermano, Angel Martinez, keeping us on the air and locked in. 60-plus minutes to play with on a Friday the 13th. How about that? 2024. As always, don't forget to lock in our number, 727-858-6650. That'll get you involved in the conversation, bring something to the table as we come at you from the friendly confines of the Sports Radio 102.9 FM, The Game, Southwest Florida's newest game in town studios, part of Coastal Sports Network, powered, as always, by our good friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee, Play It Again Sports. A very busy Friday. Let me say this. We don't quit. We don't quit. And I know, and we'll get to what transpired last night in the NFL, but I have to bring this up because already the gnawing, the attacking, the comments, electricity this, electricity that, what the hell went on get over the hump on a Wednesday edition of The Drive with Q, which, oh, by the way, Lloyd Vance had to step in and we nailed out a nice little edition of BYP. But all I can say is this. Sometimes there are certain things that happen that are out of our power, and we can't do anything about that. Sometimes if you guys are being chased, sometimes there are some out of your jurisdiction. But be that as it may, I mean, listen, I am not one to sit here and throw someone under the bus. I don't do that kind of stuff. Angel Martinez, CEO of Coastal Sports Network. Whatever transpired on Wednesday, we have to move past it. And the main thing is that we are back on the air on this, what the frig, Football Friday of edition of The Drive with Q. And that's all that matters. 727-858-6650. So how about this? How about a couple little tidbits on this Football Friday? You have what transpired last night. And oh, by the way, the 49ers are cooked. They're done. You have a colossal jet debacle going on. We'll get into Aaron Rodgers. You have a new report coming down that there's a better than 50% chance that Joe Shane and Brian Dable are going to be canned at the end of the year by the New York Football Giants. If you listen to me, not only on The Drive with Q, but also on BYP, I've been talking about this going into the season, none less a couple weeks ago, from all these reports that are floated out there. We've got DeSoto presser yesterday, doesn't even mention the New York Yankees, really, when you think about it. And then the ratings are down in the NBA. So we got a little potpourri plus Q's picks around 5:45. On a Friday, we always bleed over past 6 o'clock hour. But let's get into what transpired last night because there's probably been a handful of times in the NFL. And oh, by the way, yes, I'm going to mention the hoodie, Belichick, and some of the stuff going on with the Eagles and Brandon Graham, which I mentioned with Lloyd during the week. How about this? You're watching a game, you're going about your business, and you find out during the telecast that a player flat out quit last night. De'Vondre Campbell pretty much took his last snap for the San Francisco 49ers, decided, I don't want to play. I mean, think about this for a moment. During a game in the field of battle, right? And we always talk about this. You have certain guys that run towards the fire. Then you have certain guys that run away from the fire. That's just how it is in this life. You want guys in the foxhole. You want guys in the foxhole with you that are going to go to battle, that are going to go to war, that are going to pick up the weapon. They're going to engage. Same thing in a football field. Same thing with a football team. You're looking to the guy next to you, to your left, to your right, not across the line of scrimmage, to your left, to your right, offensive line, defensive line. You're looking around. My brother in arms, who's going to battle with me? Who's going to fight with me? Because these guys ultimately are making millions of dollars. They're making millions of dollars. So now you've got a player that just decided, I'm going to take my friggin' ball and go home. Sandlot be damned. I don't want to go in the game. I don't want to do it. Why? Because I'm salty that a injured player who's now healthy is going to take reps away, that I'm salty that my playing time is down. I mean, you got a 31-year-old player in Campbell that's floated around the NFL, Seriously, he's floating around. He had a couple little cups of coffee here and there, a cup of coffee here and there, all over the place, right? In the NFL. And you're going to make the decision. You're going to declare it upon yourself that I'm not going to play. I'm going to quit on my team, which is a horrible look, which also is a major indictment, not only on the player, but the team and Shanahan. And I know the players came out afterwards and they roasted and ripped their teammate, and rightfully so. But the fact that as an NFL player, as a professional athlete, I tweeted this out, or actually CSN, we tweeted this out. It's almost like that guy you work with or that girl you work with, someone's going to quit in the middle of their shift. And I'm sure we've all thought about it. And I'm sure there have been times where we decided we are quitting this job, or we're not going back. We're not going to pick up the phone. We're calling out sick, and that turns into an extended holiday. We don't want to deal with it anymore. But you're talking about professional athletes who make millions of dollars. I don't care if he's a journeyman player, subpar player, still probably making low millions, high hundreds, thousands of dollars over time, right? Getting that equity in the bank, playing your 4, 5, 6 years so you can get that pension, you can get that retirement, be part of the NFL brotherhood, right? Because it takes a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of effort, a lot of heart, a lot of passion, blood, sweat, and tears to make it this far. And you sign a 1-year, $5 million contract with the Niners in March. And you decide last night, nah, I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore. Nope, I'm not doing it. No. Where in the world does this guy get off to have the stones to decide that he's not going to go in the game? I'm being serious. How do we sit there? When did we come to this? Like, you have to have balls to not want to do that. And then to have to go in the locker room afterwards and try to look your teammates in the eye. I mean, this is ridiculous. Listen, they had injuries. Kendricks was hurt. So again, it happens. A deal was struck. You need a starting caliber linebacker to fill the void. That's why you have the practice squad players. That's why you call up guys. That's why you make these transactions every freaking week during a 17-week season in the NFL. It's your time to step up. You're going to be on film. Make a couple plays, especially if you're an unrestricted free agent after the season. Make plays. Show up. Sell out. Be a good teammate. Do it the right way. And then you don't want to go in the game? Nah, I'm good. Nah, I'm good. Nah. So Kendricks comes in, and Dre, again, this is according to Shanahan, De'Vondre, nah. I don't want to go in. Think about that for a moment. Think about that. Like, put that together. Put that together, man. You're making millions of dollars, and you just decide because you got no heart, because you're gutless, because you're soft, because your feelings are friggin' hurt. This is the NFL, man. Grow up. Grow up. You think you're going to get a job now? We saw what happened to Antonio Brown. We saw what happened to Vontae Davis. Quit, basically retired with Miami. I mean, this is ridiculous. And the 49ers, again, you don't even need to suspend this cat. You release him. You cut him. You want to figure out the best way to do it. Eat the money. Who cares? But there's absolutely no way after a game like that. First of all, I'm not doing that. But if I were to do that, or if I knew someone that did that, and I played sports, we all played sports growing up at certain levels. You got a teammate that quits. How do you look that guy in the eye? You can't respect that guy. You can't trust that guy. You can't go to battle with that guy. And that's exactly what Campbell did last night. Now, aside the fact that the 49ers offense stinks, besides the fact that the game was sloppy and bad and the Rams are starting to hit their stride, it's been a bad year for the 49ers. Shanahan in close games, horrible record. Is this a 100% reflection on Kyle Shanahan? No. Is it a poor reflection on him? Yeah. But it's really more about the player. You just can't get up and quit, man. You can't do that. It's a horrible look. We want these players to be honest. We want these players to be transparent. We want these players to peel back the curtain. Hell, look what happened with Brandon Graham. Goes on radio in Philadelphia, and he's talking about Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. Why? Because he's been a veteran. He's played the most games in Eagles history. He's a leader. He's the heart and passion of that squad, and he's speaking the truth because he's in that locker room, and then all of a sudden, I got to walk it back. Like, what do we want? Do we want the raw honesty? Look, if you're not feeling it, and you're going to quit, and you're going to retire, and you just don't have it in you, that's fine. Admit it. But what we saw last night was a no-no in sports. I can live with a player making a comment like Brandon Graham, who's speaking the truth because he's close in that locker room, obviously. And then everyone's got to walk him back to protect the Eagles. Two things are going to happen. It's either going to derail the season or they're going to whoop the ass and the doors off the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it's going to just galvanize his team. So you can kind of live with that because he's built that resume, that body of work. He can say that. He's a leader. He's been around the block. So I can live with those comments. But for me to physically just say, I'm not going in and I'm going to quit and I don't want to be a part of this, it's a horrible look. I lost the right to play in the NFL because of that. I lost the right to have my teammates look me in the eye and treat me with respect. You can't look at a player. That player is going to be known as a quitter. Period. I mean, look, I call hundreds of fights every year. You know when a guy's just not up to the level of his opposition, right? Where they're punching out of their weight class, where maybe they get touched up to the body and they go down on one knee. You know, and I've been criticized for saying it at times on the air. I would never call a fighter a quitter, but sometimes he's making a business decision. You know. You guys watch the fight. You know when a boxer knows they're overwhelmed. They don't have a chance in hell. They're trying to survive or they're trying to collect a check. Either way, they're trying to get the hell out of there as fast as possible because they know whether they're knocked down in the second or the sixth round, quote, they should be getting a payday. But sometimes you just know the fighter has no business being in the ring. And there are other times where you realize, okay, he's trying his best and he's not quitting, but it's inevitable. He's going to get knocked on his ass and they're going to stop this fight. They're going to call this fight. Period. Last night, it's a totally different animal. I mean, you just didn't want to go in the game because your feelings were hurt, which is unacceptable. 727-858-6650. I see you shaking your head, which means I already know. Let me timestamp it. It's the bitterness of Wednesday's show not being aired because of issues. 727-858-6650. Go ahead, flash them up. Let's get our thoughts on what transpired last night and allow the ball breaking to commence. I see.
Yeah, I'm going to give him one because after that one, I'm banning him for 5 minutes. So that's the one he gets.
Hold on, you're banning, man?
That's the one he gets.
What is my man Pete Shepard does a great job Monday to Friday, 7 to 10 Pete Shepard Show. Ryan Clark destroyed Aaron Rodgers earlier today. Echoed everything most of us have been talking about the last couple of years. Great job, Keith. Appreciate you, Pete. Yeah, I'm going to get into Rodgers in a moment, too, because he's another clown I can get away with. Our guy, Gabe, 6'4", 300, put me on the line. By the way, we'll talk more about this. Gabe does a great job, Critical Sports and Entertainment. We got some things going on that we will disclose very soon, and we're very happy about what's going to be transpiring, but we appreciate him listening in as well. 6'4", 300, get him on the line, man. Get him on. You need some gumption. You need a little girth. You need some heart on that line. I mean, how would you imagine being a teammate of this guy? A couple of the players basically came out last night and said, to paraphrase, cut his ass. And I would too. 727-858-6650. A couple other things that, because we were not on during the week, and you guys keep rolling through the comments as well. The other story that transpired earlier this week, which I was floored. I was floored that the hoodie decides, I'm going to go back to school, a la Rodney Dangerfield in the 86 Classic Back to School, right? The hoodie, Bill Belichick, agrees to that deal with UNC to be their next head coach. I was shocked. But I understand a lot of that move, right? With the transfer portal, with the NIL. I've had a couple people hit me up on Facebook and Twitter, and they were asking me, do you think if he struggles in college, it's going to hurt his legacy. And my answer is, are you kidding me? He's like one of the Mount Rushmore of head coaches. And let's be honest, too. Here's the funny part. I don't know if people, there are certain accounts you got to follow. So my guy, the prop, Professor Shine, who joins me on BYP, he's a sharp better. He mentioned that Tampa Bay, for our Southwest Florida audience, and especially Gas Pump Guy, who's a Bucks fan, Tampa Bay, there's already talk that Bowles is on his way out. Whether he's fired or he's pushed to retire, the Glazer family is enamored or was enamored by Belichick. So it almost made sense if you get rid of Bowles, you're going to bring in Belichick and you're going to allow him, you're going to open up the checkbook, even though we know how that family's been. I mean, well, think about this, Gruden years ago, but be that as it may, we're going to open up the checkbook. You want to be GM, you want to run the show, here you go. You can bring in your own staff, boom. So the funny thing is that Mike Lombardi, now follow me, Mike Lombardi, Ocean City guy, Mike Lombardi, former GM in the NFL, does his show on VSiN. It loves to hear himself speak almost as much as I do. Always has a friggin' opinion, always has to be right, openly petitioning for other GM jobs. Openly petitioning for GM jobs. Basically says that Belichick was kind of using this as leverage to toy with the fact that maybe I can get a gig in the NFL with, say, Tampa Bay if they decide to go and part ways with said coach Todd Bowles. So let me go back to UNC, flirt with the NFL, talk to UNC and say, okay, listen, you got to make me an offer I can't refuse. I need a really good offer. That was never the case. There's no merit to Bowles being on the hot seat per the report. So when I mentioned, it's pretty much all the speculation. That's what Lombardi was reporting. So then what happens? Now, Lombardi is extremely close to Belichick, as many know. So what does Belichick do? Who does he turn around and he hires as a GM at a university? Mike Lombardi. I mean, think about this, guys. I mean, really, like you don't, all you need to do is read the room, ultimately. That's all you have to do. Just read the room. And you know there's stipulations in that contract. You know that. We all know that, right? You know, let me have my son take over. You know, here I am a couple years. I believe ultimately, does it change the landscape of college football? Not as much as when Deion took over Colorado because of the players that he was bringing over. Belichick's going to have his work cut out for him. But I think Belichick will be able to succeed in the college game. I really do. Belichick is a winner. I don't care that he went to Cleveland. He won 11 games one season, right? I mean, he won 11 games too with Matt Castle when Tom Brady went down in 2008. So this whole notion that Belichick's not going to achieve anything in college, I think this is more or less, I can bank some money. I can have my kid situated, have him become head coach, stipulation after I leave, right? After I leave. And then I'm going to go back to the pros. Belichick wants to beat Shula's record. I don't care what anyone tells me. Belichick wants to beat Don Shula's coaching record for wins. He wants it. It's in his grasp. And I'm very curious how some of these teams just overlooked him. A lot of people are saying he was rubbing them the wrong way in interviews. He wanted too much power. Well, doesn't he earn that right?
I think so.
Belichick, to me, earns that right. I mean, this guy changed the course of several franchises, if you think about it. Assistant, defensive coordinator, Giants winning some rings, spurring the Jets, look where they went, going to the Patriots, and all the success he had with the Patriots. So this notion that, you know, you can't give him too much. He's Bill Belichick, man. He's not going to expect anything less. He's not expecting anything less. So was I stunned? Was I shocked? No. Hey, look, he's going to get a pretty, again, decent salary, but the devil is in the details. The devil is in the details because he's got all these provisions that are kicking in June 1st of next year. And that's 2 months before 2025 college football season set to begin. So think about that. I mean, listen, if he decides to leave Chapel Hill right before or after his first season, you know what his fine is? It's $1 million. Art the Bills fan in the house. Appreciate that. From the 239. All right, Bills Mafia. Thank you. It's only a fine of $1 million. That's all it is. So you mean to tell me he's going to try to make them competitive, and then after a year or two, he's going to hand the reins over to his kid? 727-858-6650. Man, they will not let up.
Sure won't.
No, relentless. Just gnawing at the comments section, right? 727-858.
X-Madman's lucky that I actually like him, because I would expect it from X-Madman. Yeah. And I was going to come on and say, you know what? I missed him on Wednesday. Today, not so much. I got to say, not so much. Things that are beyond your control that you can't do. Unfortunately, I don't live in a, in a silo.
I guess it's only because several times there have been these issues with, the storm is one thing. The storm is one thing. We can't make light of that, as I know, because we know how you with the weather. We'll just leave it at that. So that was you were in a bad spot there mentally. Okay. But the electricity, all of a sudden I get this ring-a-ling-ling. Hey, there's no show because somebody ran into a pole that knocked over a house, that hit a kid, that beat a pigeon, that fell into an alligator, and all of a sudden the wiring's down. And I'm like, what are we doing here? I got Belichick. I got week 15. I got to start to look at these player props. I got NBA. I got Soto on the move, and no show.
All right.
Hey, you what? Keep it up. You keep it up. That square is going to keep shrinking, my friend.
It's already shrunk as is.
Yeah.
Wasn't it Gabriel that said he was up in the 400 section. He was going to move down to 100 section in order to get closer?
Squinting. Yeah, it is. Squinting. Wow. I'll tell you what. You know what? Some of these right now. Wow. Oh, Angel's a hard worker. Now I got to squint. Angel's a hard worker. The other 50% of the show, however. Oh, my God. We got a new little graphic there with the comments coming up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brand new one. Although, you know what? I might have to turn this one into a t-shirt. I want X-Madman to come up with one, because we always kid around with him, tell him he's got a 5-minute ban. I want to come up with a t-shirt for X-Madman says, I'm the only person gets 5-minute bans.
Who is the Mount Rushmore of rodents? Wow. This is, see, we have loyal listeners.
Yep.
And they have become accustomed. Maybe they were listening at other outlets, other shows, other stations. And, look, maybe they were accustomed to hamburgers and tuna. And we want to force feed them steak. And now they're accustomed to steak. And when, let's be honest, I'm not on the air, it's like walking in at 12 o'clock and seeing the C team. I'm just saying that.
See, now you got to get X-Man going. It's coming.
I am just, my man B chimes in. Definitely the player quit flat out. Yeah. Talking about Campbell. 727-858-6650. All right. We got a lot of NFL. We'll continue the 49ers debacle. I want to get into Aaron Rodgers week 15. How about the comments from Brandon Graham? Listen, I think this is a weekend in the NFL right now. By the way, Army Navy too, tomorrow. I think this is a weekend in the NFL where after this weekend, we will say, here we go. Legit, fraud, or just, playing out the string. Can we pop up Trevor's comments right now?
Or crustaceans.
Crustaceans? Like crabs, I see them on the beach. Not a fan. The shells, they sit there, right? I mean, listen, mice, rats. I think the point is basically, this is what happens when we're off the air. That's all. People get aggravated. They get angry. They're slinging nonsense at you. They're slinging it at me. And that's okay. Because like I said, not all heroes wear hats.
That's right. Or capes.
Or capes.
Or hoodies.
727-858-6650. All right, we'll crank it up with your comments as well. Text message board always open for business. We'll break it all down NFL-wise on the other side. NBA ratings are down. Soto at the presser, but we got a lot of NFL to dive into, and we'll take you up to, we'll bleed past 6 o'clock hour. Q's picks as well from our good friends over at Zen Auto Concepts. By the way, I want to mention with the weather changing on the East Coast, we know it's getting cold. We know that Well, you guys know that I love my fresh roasted coffee. Check out the show notes on the YouTube channel as well. If you click the link, BYP, that's from our gambling pod, BYP20. You'll get 20% off your first purchase from our wonderful friends over at Fresh Roasted Coffee. All right, just cranking it up. 25 past 5 o'clock hour on a Football Friday. What the frig edition of the Drive with Q. By the way, I do have my very interesting what the frig story. We will say that for the top of the hour as well. We'll come back NFL, NBA, your text, your call, 727-858-6650 on the other side.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontp.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Download the Sports Radio 102.9 FM The Game app and tell your friends that Florida has a new leader in digital sports radio.
All right, 527 on a Friday edition of The Drive with Q. Rich Quinones here, Angel Martinez behind the glass, 727-858-6650. It's friggin' absolutely nasty and cold out there. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the nice, warm, soft weather down there in Florida. I mean, harden you up a little bit. Can we get like a little cold front? Something going on there. Let me guess. It was 76 and sunny today. Oh, but the power lines are okay. So now we have friggin' electricity. Is that what you were about to say?
No, not at all. It didn't. No, I didn't get up to 76. It did get up to 70. So I didn't get up to 76, but it was, we just went through a mild cold front last week and it was mild to say the least, but it doesn't last long. That's the beautiful part about down here. I think last year was the only time that I can remember, and more here in Tampa than Pete's area down in Fort Myers. We'll get nights where we get into the below freezing mark. And what people don't realize down here in Florida is because we're surrounded by moisture all the time. When it gets cold, it gets freaking cold. It's not like, it may not be as brutal as up north, but it does get cold. But other than that, I mean, it wasn't bad whatsoever.
A lot of parking meters in Florida. You know what that's from? Donnie Brasco, man. 727-858-6650. Joe D in Philly chiming in. Q, what do you make of Brandon Grant's comments? Do you think it's enough to do about nothing? Do you think they go out and it galvanizes a team? Or do you think, as you like to say, the team's ready to implode? Is it, listen, this whole A.J. Brown, Jalen Hurts, like, put it to the side for a moment. The Eagles, it's so bizarre. You're 11-2. You won 9 straight. you have a pretty tough matchup coming up against the Pittsburgh Steelers, where I think people are going to say, all right, are the Steelers legit contenders, or they're going to be frauds? Because a lot of people have mentioned the Steelers as being a team that can come out of the AFC. I'm not necessarily sold on that. I told you, I think the Bills right now, and I know they stepped their toe the other night. It happens. I mean, Allen was just amazing, and McDermott, I have no idea what the hell McDermott was thinking late in that game, calling that timeout and then trying to sneak it in instead of throwing the football. I still, for my money, the Bills are the best team in the AFC. Kansas City's leaking oil. Baltimore's too sporadic and consistent. You shut down the ground game. You shut down Henry. You shut down Jackson. They're an easy out. Then you got the Steelers. But you go back to Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown. You can watch the All-22. You can watch Baldy's breakdowns. You can watch all these talking head shows. Jalen Hurts is just not finding A.J. Brown. And I don't know if it's an unwillingness to throw the football. I don't know. Lloyd brought this up the other day on Back Your Play. He believes that Jalen Hurts is just not a confident quarterback or confident enough right now to make the throws that the Mahomes, the Allens, the Rodgers in his prime were accustomed to seeing, and those quarterbacks are accustomed to making, meaning thread the needle. He just won't do it. The other thing is, whether A.J. Brown or Jalen Hurts, they want to realize it or not, this is a run-first football team, period. It's a run-first football team. They got Saquon Barkley. You have a perennial MVP candidate, offensive player of the year, comeback player, whatever the accolades. But they're averaging like $125 to $130 on the ground. That's how you win football games. Jalen Hurts, there will be a time late in the season or come playoff time where, Jalen Hurts will probably have to drop back to pass 25, 30 times. I mean, if you're behind in a game, 10, 13 points, sometimes you just can't turn around and start running the football. You can't do that. Why are you smiling? Go ahead, 727-85.
Sorry, I told you X-Men
zone with a comment. This is what happens. Angel, this is a safe place. Be honest. Did you go scout 3 p.m. BT and lose track of time? I mean, when I am locked in with a great rant, I know for a fact 2 things are happening. Either you're frustrated or you're laughing. There's no in between.
Because Madman, he every time it's like the perfect timing.
Mark the tape. Take the Eagles and the points. A.J. Brown on the over for yards. Bunker Boys. What is that? BBBB?
Sure is.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if you think this is the game where A.J. Brown goes for 12, 136 and 2 scores, look, we know they're going to try to force feed him the football, right? We know they're going to try to force feed him the football. Look, he's a great player. But I believe there's something to what Brandon Graham said. Now, do I think it's enough to derail the season? No, they won 9 straight. They're 11-2. They're right there with the Lions for the top spot, along with Minnesota in the NFC. They had the easier road. They do. Not a lot of people have mentioned this, and our listener from Buffalo can attest to this. You got that bad weather going on in Buffalo again. The Bills really haven't had a full week of practice, and now they take on a Lions team. And Buffalo should be ticked off because that's a game they should have won the other night. They didn't. So think about this. You got to go West Coast. You got to come back now. Go to Detroit. Lions, that line will close at 3. It's sitting at 2.5. This is a big game for Buffalo, and this is a huge game for the Lions for home field advantage. I find it hard to believe, Angel, that both those teams respectively, the Eagles and the Lions, go into the playoffs on a 12, 13, 14 game winning streak.
No, I don't see it. It's impossible. It's hard to do. I'm even surprised, not for nothing. And believe me, I love my Eagles, but I'm even surprised at the 11-game win streak. And as far as this whole thing with as everybody keeps calling him BG with Brandon Graham.
Yeah.
Listen, at the end of it, there's gonna be some hostility somewhere or another. Now, if you go back and you look at the play, at the replay, and I've seen it even on what is it, CSN Philadelphia or whatever it is, the broadcast, the same way. I've seen it where it's. Yeah, there was spots where A.J. Brown was open. And again, I'm not the QB, so I don't know what he's seeing versus what he's not seeing. And it's obviously we're seeing everything from above. It's completely different.
Sure.
I understand the frustration too when it comes down to A.J. Brown. I mean, Devontae Smith for a little bit felt like he was being targeted. So it gets that time of the season where some of the frustration starts coming out. But if you're going to put something out there, make sure it is the entire story. And if you're going to speak for someone and then retract and backtrack on what you said, then you're just adding fuel to the fire. But I mean, I don't think it's going to affect.
I think, well, hold on, two things. I hear what you're saying. Let me interject for a moment. I think it was one of those, we're just having this conversation. He said what he said, and then it catches on fire, so to speak, right? Because everyone thought there was a lingering issue, right? We saw this last year. Remember the game? Kansas City. A.J. Brown and Jalen. A.J. Brown was very animated on the sideline. That's the famous game where Sirianni ran out of tunnel like the clown that he is and said what he said. But he never diffused that situation. Then through the offseason, did the Eagles, did they make a mistake paying Jalen Hurts? Why does the offense always struggle? Why are they slow out of the gate? What's going on? Then obviously you acquire Saquon Barkley and boom, you catch lightning in a bottle and he's just having a terrific season. 10-1 last year, 6-7, they get blown out by Tampa Bay. 11-2 this year, they won 9 straight. They can ill afford to have that type of slide. I believe the Eagles are fighting for home field advantage. I really do. That's just my opinion. But to your point, I don't think, again, what Brandon Graham said is outrageous. What he said that people are gravitating towards is when you say accountability, right? So when players come out and you got to grow up and mature and you have to be held accountable, other players don't want to hear that. Teammates don't want to hear that. But, and we'll get to Rodgers in a moment, if you have a body of work like Brandon Graham, he has a right to say that. It just happens. It's in Philadelphia. It's a major market. We know about Jalen Hurts. And the conversation will start to spin to, okay, if there really is friction, and you can attest to this, Carson Wentz years ago, wasn't there talk that he's trying to force feed the ball to Ertz constantly? Remember that? It was always a safety valve. Why are you always force feeding the ball to your tight end? They were tight, fine. But if this Eagle offense doesn't have balance, then they're going to be in trouble. Yes, they're run first, but there are going to be spots where he's going to have to get the ball to Smith. He's going to have to get the ball to A.J. Brown. Not like last year in Seattle where you're just chucking it up. Yeah, Brown can make a play on the ball, but you have to be smart. Be judicious with your approach. Don't play sloppy football. Don't turn the ball over. But I think there's something there, and I think Brandon Graham, what he said was accurate. I don't believe he conveyed the message the right way. Every receiver wants their touches. Every receiver wants the yards. They want the touch. Because ultimately, incentives, bonus, clause in my contract, hit these numbers, hit these goals, right? But I find it really remarkable. I don't think Jalen Hurts has had a lights out season. Now, before you guys attack me, hear me out. I think Jalen Hurts has played well at times this season. I know his completion percentage. I know the yards. I know the stats. He's held on to the ball a lot. He's been sacked close to 70 times. I mean, so if he gets sacked another 10 or 11, that's going to surpass a career high. Obviously, yes, short yardage situation with the tush push. He's going to get in 13 touchdowns from a yard or less, 16 via the air. He hasn't shown me that signature moment that we've seen in the past, right? Like we saw in the Super Bowl where you could have made the case that if they won, he would have been the MVP. So if he's not getting the ball to Brown and all of a sudden they drop 2 or 3 and they get second seed and they get bounced in the divisional round, conversation in the offseason is, did we make a mistake with Jalen Hurts, or do we need a new quarterback, or are we getting rid of the wide receiver? And I'm preparing people for that conversation because that's typically how it goes. And in this case, you really think if they falter and he struggles, you want to have that conversation, the elephant in the room? Did they make a mistake paying Jalen Hurts, or are we going to get rid of the diva wide receiver because they're a dime a dozen? And if you look over the last 15, 20 plus years in the NFL, diva receivers haven't won Super Bowls. So everything you're saying, I agree with. I think Brandon Graham conveyed the message the wrong way, and he had to walk it back quickly. But to some of the commenters' points, best believe that first series, they're going to try to get A.J. Brown involved, 727-858-6650. And that's not a gimme game.
No.
It's not. Now, the Eagles have the easiest road coming out of the NFC to get home field advantage. You know, the Lions have a couple tricky games, man. They still have to play the 49ers. They still have to play the Vikings. You know, the 49ers are done, but they want to try to be spoilers. The Lions have the Bills, the Bears, the 49ers, and the Vikings. If they lose to the Bears, chances are they'll lose one of those games to the 49ers or the Vikings. That'll give them 3 losses. So they finished 14-3, and then you got to look at conference records. If the Eagles run the table, they're going to get the top seed. And I don't see the Eagles stubbing their toe. Look, can the Eagles have a difficult time with Pittsburgh? Yes. Can Washington give them some fits? Yeah. Dallas isn't going to give them fits. And the Giants pretty much have mailed it in. So the Eagles right now look like a team that if they win 3 out of their next 4, they're 14-3. If the Lions stub their toe, well, then it's a different conversation. And also, let's not forget, you know, you still have Minnesota. We still have Minnesota in the NFC, and I feel like nobody's talking about the Minnesota Vikings because they don't think they're legit. They think Sam Darnold's a fraud. Minnesota's 11-2, I believe.
Yeah, 11-2. And to think they're a wild card at 11-2, which seems insane.
Well, let me give you their last 4. Bears, Seattle, and the Packers, and then the Lions. That's if they win, if they beat the Bears in Seattle, now they're 13-2. That Lions game, I mean, listen, that division is so jumbled up right now. I mean, it's between Detroit and Minnesota. Green Bay, they have a very outside shot. They're not going to win a division. So that game, which they should flex, Minnesota on the road against the Lions, that's going to be for the NFC North. It could potentially be for home field advantage as well. 727-858-6650. All right, let's see what they have to say on this Friday. Man's all over. Maybe it was Q pursuing the lot lizards and sent Angel the sorry can't make it tonight text. Wow, that's.
And listen, and I held back on that one because then Joey B's got one too, but not as much.
They play their best ball on the biggest stage. Vince, diehard Steelers fan, probably likes the Steelers this week as well. Trevor Jones, AJ versus Pitt. Last time he went for 156 and 2 touchdowns. Yeah, but that means nothing. Who cares? Right? Yep. AJ will have a day, but Hurts turnovers separate the game. Yeah, you know, Pittsburgh's defense is really good. I feel as though we haven't talked about the Steelers' defense as much. Joey B. Yes, Q and the mini angle. Angle. Yes, that is a small chiquitito.
I know. I got it on Monday. Things are going
to hold on. I got it. Joey, this is the second time I'm saving you money for the holidays. Do not touch that game. Don't. No. Don't. They are going to. That game might be a 35-3 game. The Giants game. That is going to be such a bad game. Now, I was supposed to travel.
Right.
Tomorrow, I was telling you, to Baltimore. And it's Army-Navy tomorrow. So Army-Navy plays in Annapolis. Baltimore's about 45 minutes away. I had the fights at the Patapsco Arena. It went from 14. They sliced that baby down to 7. So I will have Army-Navy on at 3. I will be calling the fights remotely at 5. And then we dabble into a little NBA, college football, and some, what do we got tomorrow? And college hoops. But the reason I was bringing it up is because traffic was going to be absolutely absurd. And then I was thinking to myself, driving back, at first I thought the Giants were playing in Baltimore. They're not. They're actually home laying 16. I don't have to worry about that on Sunday. But they are going to get absolutely annihilated. annihilated. When was the last time AJ played Pittsburgh? I don't know. Go ask your buddy Trevor over there. You guys seem to have a conversation between the both of you. Push. That's what the girls called it back at the bar. Oh, come on, man. I mean, we got to screen that one, right?
Yeah.
Cue the tush push and the Oldsmobile. Could fit at least 3 tushes in the back seat of the 80s models Oldsmobile. Mine was a I don't even want to read these off, half of these. I told you, Cutlass Supreme. It was a boat. Had a cassette player. Had the knobs.
Yeah.
Walked out of a meeting this morning at my office, said nothing, and just walked off just to see what would happen. Ooh. And finish. Did they ask where you were? Was it a long lunch? Who knows? Giants have been mailed in since 2022. I mean, they went to the playoffs, but that's okay. Whatever. There we go. Have a conversation. AJ versus Pitt 2020. Sometimes I feel that the commenters just take over the show. 727-858-650. Did you hear what Aaron Rodgers is complaining about?
Yeah, he's not getting his airtime, and blah, blah, blah. But I do. What's the lady's name? Mims, from ESPN. I like what she had to say this morning because she basically called him out. Like, listen, how can you say we're not talking about you when obviously you're being talked about because you joined a particular show and that's your platform? So I don't care for the bum.
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of, listen, I think these networks have become, to some extent, unwatchable, to be honest.
Yep.
And I know what she said, and I know what Ryan Clark said. So McAfee's show is on ESPN. McAfee is tight with Aaron Rodgers. McAfee pays Aaron Rodgers to come on the show, quote, to some extent, ESPN content, right? So it's like, okay, you're not going to, where you eat. The problem is Aaron Rodgers doesn't want anyone to have opinion. That's number one. Or they don't want him to. They don't want to have us to have an opinion on his ability, his talent, and I think that's where you kind of send the wrong message. Like Aaron Rodgers' point is, it's the shows you guys might watch, and honestly, I don't watch them. They're personality-driven programming. That's where we're at with the highlights, and it's all about opinions and putting the highlights up there and cutting it up for an hour or 2 hours of content on TV and re-airing it 36 times, 17 people screaming over the top of each other, the same type of comments and topics every single day. Cowboys, LeBron, Lakers, Cavs, Dallas, Yankees, Aaron Rodgers. It's really what it is. That's all it is. So Aaron Rodgers is getting upset because people are having opinions, and they have opinions and they have takes. And they're basically calling into question that, listen, he's not a leader. He's not. He single-handedly has blown up the Jet franchise, and he hasn't even played well this year. How can anyone that thinks Aaron Rodgers has played well is on the Jet payroll, or you're just delusional? He's a shell of himself. Shell of himself. Can't move around, doesn't have the arm strength, and more importantly, wants his guys. If I'm going to play in the sandbox, I want my boys to play with me. Yep. So go out, Hackett, Lazard, Adams. It hasn't worked out. He doesn't want to hear that because he's so delusional. Aaron Rodgers sits there and wants people to really think he is this great human being and great leader. The guy's a prick. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback, but he's a prick. He really is. He's I'm the smartest guy in the room, and you can't have an opinion. And if you have an opinion, you're wrong. You're not going to question my talent. Yo, my man, this is not 2013, 2015, 2018, 2019. We're talking 2024. You're not that guy anymore. You're not that guy. You've made comments like it's not my job to lead. It's not my job to mentor. It's not my job to groom the young quarterback. You're throwing wide receivers under the bus. You threw your head coach under the bus, talking about the cadence and the snap. Maybe we need to hold people accountable. He doesn't want to hold himself accountable. So all those talking heads on, say, ESPN or Fox, all they pointed out was what we already know about him. He's a fraud. He's a fraud, and frauds don't like to be called out. He is a flat out fraud, and he's not a good quarterback anymore. He's not. And the Jets franchise put all their eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket, and they basically sold their soul to the devil thinking they were going to win something last year. 4 offensive snaps. His highlight was running out with the flag. And all I heard in the offseason, people were getting on me, you're a Jet hater. They're going to the Super Bowl. I was adamant saying this team was not going to make the playoffs. Now, I got the other prediction with the Eagles wrong, and Washington's still there. But again, this team is a joke. The franchise is a joke. The players have quit. They took it out on the head coach. They got rid of the coordinators. They get rid of the GM, and you got a franchise quarterback. You should not want him back. And he should understand at this point of his career, people are allowed to have opinions because you go on McAfee and sprout your knowledge or your lack thereof or your opinions, or you want to be political. You want to run for vice president. You want to do this. You want to do that. You want to rub whale sperm on your Achilles. You want to, what's the other thing? The smoking and the joking. What is that? Not the euthanasia, echinacea, whatever the hell it is. Right? Right?
Yeah.
But I don't need to hear from him anymore. I don't. Just go away. Just go away. And some team is going to be desperate to put fannies in the seats next season. And they're going to offer him a 1 or 2 year contract. And he'll hang around. He's got alligator blood. He's going to hang around. And it's going to be the same nonsense. Like, again, what? Ayuka. Wait,
yeah.
Yuka?
All right, we keep saying it every time.
Hahaska? Hawana?
I don't know. Maybe X-Man could just kind of...
Hold on. Let me Google it. Hayanaska. No, that's not...
No, that's... Jeez, where the hell did you get that from, that word?
Hold on. Hold on. I can't copy and paste in there. Hanaska? Hanuska? Somebody's got to call in. Somebody's got to let me know how you... pronounce ayahuasca.
There you go.
Hold on. Well, Google, just, Google it. Hold on. Commercial can wait. This is important stuff right here. I'm going to go to Google Translate. Here we go. Are you ready?
Yep.
Oh, is this... I think we had... Didn't I do this before on the air?
Yeah, you did.
All right. Hold on. Ready? What? What is that?
What?
Oya, gas, ga. Is that Japanese? That's not the... Oh, I put the wrong thing in here. Hold on a second. Ayahuasca? I know this is riveting radio for you guys. I apologize. I'll do it during the break. I don't know how to pronounce it. That's horrible.
Hang on. Before we go to the break. So for those... No, it's not...
Wait. People are telling me, look out, we have a drone alert. Now, where am I? Hi.
No, you're just as small as I am for the moment. But this is the comment this morning. We played this morning at Pete Shepard Show, but we were talking about Mia Kim's, as what she had mentioned about Aaron Rodgers with his airtime nonsense.
I'm not offended by it at all. I do think it's worth parsing out the things that he said. His point that personality-driven programming has overtaken highlights. He's well within his rights to note that. But others are well within their rights to note that he is espousing that opinion on a personality-driven program that employs him as a personality during the NFL season. That context does matter here. The other context
I don't want to hear
that
Steven,
matters is I think there's some subtext that he is saying some of the criticism perhaps of his play.
I get it. Cool your jets. I get it. I hear what you're saying. I don't need them to tell me what I already know, to be quite honest with you. I mean, he's a hypocrite, but they're going to get the airtime because, again, he's on the McAfee show.
Right.
And McAfee's not going to go back and forth with him, right? He's not. I'm not even going to get to some of these comments. Now I got to start. By the way, yeah, for What the Frig Friday, we'll do our picks in a little bit, and I want to get to the NBA. What the hell's going on with these drones? Can somebody explain this to me?
All right, so...
No.
No, hold on.
Let me hear this one. Go. Wait, hold on.
No. So Debbie, producer, and myself, we were trying to figure out what was the deal as well. She saw where it came across apparently it is Elon Musk that's trying something as far as, it might be, I'm thinking because of all the nonsense that went on for like the last 4 years, balloons that go overhead and all kinds of crap. So it's supposed to be, I guess, some sort of security defense. Read that in between the lines all you want to, but supposedly there's also going to be some sort of like blackout between here and Christmas, between like any like radio frequency, the airspace. And so I don't know if it's something that's going on, but because someone had made a comment, how come Elon, isn't on top of this? And then there's something that was kind of worded out today about Elon involvement with the drones. So that's the deal, what's going on. And I believe only because of the area up there where the president still resides, the president-elect 47 resides, then there's more security measures because obviously we know there's been, attempts on his life. So it's just, again, things that are kept from the public that should be said. Therefore, people don't get frightened off.
Hold on. Now, I am the biggest conspiracy theorist out there. I always have a conspiracy theory. I always have, as we like to say, revelations. Okay. So now there have been, I think, 13 or 14 drones around the Jersey shores and a lot in North Jersey. Now, first, they were saying that the drones were from Iran. Okay. And by the way, there is a report coming out that a drone crashed somewhere in New Jersey. Okay, fine. So now we're hearing that homeowners are getting ready to take matters into their own hands. Now, if a drone was flying on Casa de Martinez, would you take matters in your own hands? Would you call the authorities, the cops, the FBI? Would you shoot it down? Or would you just say it's a drone? I don't have anything to worry about and go about your business?
Oh, no, I'm taking the thing down. And by the way, just coming across as my producer in the other room was listening in, as she said, breaking President Trump calls for drones to be shot down if they can't be identified by the government. As he puts down their mystery drone sightings all over the country. Can this really be happening without our government's knowledge? I don't think so. Let the public know. And now otherwise shoot them down. So again, this is where the stories keep changing by the minute. But that was one thing that was said earlier. So now if obviously
you heard what the Maryland Republican governor said, Hogan. He said he saw like drones all over his residence, which was 25 miles, by the way, from Washington, D.C.
Right. Well, because again, it's some of this stuff drives you absolutely bananas.
Is it possible they're not all drones, Angel?
No, it could be a possibility, but the problem is you allowed for all these things to happen. And there's first of all, drones are not coming across the Pacific or Atlantic Ocean, which means to me, they came in containers. The government knew they came in containers, and then you go ahead and release them because who controls all the ports? Oh, by the way, the government. Yeah. Who's the dirtbag that's been in there for the last 4 years? The retard, and unfortunately, and I can
hold on, you can't say that. You can't say that on the air.
Whatever. The delusional idiot that's in the White House, unfortunately, has allowed for things to happen. And when you allow for things to happen and you turn around, he himself said last night, there's nothing to see here, folks. I don't know what you're talking about. But in the meantime, the New York cops last night were trying to chase after this thing, whatever was over the skies, and they were having problems. Even number one was keeping up with it, and two, they were saying that when they were below the drone itself, it was changing the radio frequency inside the car and some other stuff that was going on. So again, how in the world are you going to be telling us that we're going to be safe and we're okay when you allowed for things that have been flying in our airspace? And let's not forget about the airplanes that are up in the sky as well, because if they're able to jam frequencies, I'm sorry, do we need just planes being just dropped down from out of the sky because you're jamming frequencies?
Well, we don't know. Again, this is purely speculation. I know that the FAA warned that if you conduct unsafe or you operate these, there's going to be a fine. I think like 100,000. Your certificates are revoked, right? I don't know if it means anything. You know, there were reports the drones were from Iran. Maybe it's China. Nobody knows if they're flying the government. If you think it's Elon Musk, I mean, then we've got an issue there, right? I mean, let's be honest. Who's controlling the means? Who's controlling the masses? I mean, you got to watch, but you can't speculate. That's number one, because we don't know if they are all drones. And you can't, by the way, just for future references, you got to steer clear of some of those words that you were using before there, guy. You can't. You have to just, just. I know it's not FCC. I know it's there. That we can. That's fine. You gotta, we gotta put a restriction on the R word. That'll offend a lot of people. Let's, and rightfully so. You can say moron. You can say, not up to snuff. But we don't know where they came from, why they're here. I heard bright light. Some people think maybe it's the mothership. You don't know. You have no idea. We don't know. All I was asking is if you would take matters in your own hands. I didn't think it was going to just spark.
Well, I would, because why not? It's the same way. If you live somewhere, first of all, everybody knows it. Yeah. So a professional drone pilot is given a laundry list of things where they can and they cannot do. Just like down here in Florida, there's a company that's here that when they fly over, they're looking for, when they're putting up new homes, like there's a field that's up there, or if, let's just say there was a warehouse that used to be there and no one actually works in the warehouse, they're able to fly the drone. But again, they have to get the permits, licensing, the whole 9 yards. But if you have a drone outside my house, I don't care if you're the next door neighbor, because if I see you flying that drone across my house, I'm walking right up to you and telling you, all right, number one, what the hell's going on? Number two, I don't need that dumb thing to fly over the house. For what? They're good and bad for certain things. They're great for sporting events. Don't get me wrong. Certain events, they're absolutely terrific for. But when you start taking people's safety away and their security because you feel now this is going to be one of these things that you just want to invade everyone's freaking privacy, and because they've done nothing.
Our invasion's already.
Well, I know, but I'm saying, like, how much longer? If that's the case, why don't we just...
All right, let's get it back. I just wanted to know what you would do. My goodness. Save that for Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm sure you talked about it earlier in the week. I mean, I know it's a rabbit hole. I got to pull you back in. Man. I got to pull you back in, or all of a sudden you're going to be like that. What was that show back in the day? The Mysterious Show? Right? The Mysterious Show where the guy was always like the FBI, those files, or the Martians and stuff like that. I was just asking if you guys have seen any of the drones. And obviously by the comments, they have been. 727-858-6650. I mean, it's a bad segue for me to even do my live read for Zen Concepts. So we might have to do the picks coming back on the other side. Let me get to some Facebook comments as well. And 6 o'clock straight up. Right here on SR 102.9 FM, the game Unsolved Mystery.
That's what it was.
There you go. See that? The Bunker Boys always seem to come through with the knowledge with that. Not so much the Madman. We don't know. We thought maybe he would have that TV knowledge. Let me get to some of these comments. Kevin C. in New York Q, you almost lost me there with the drone talk. But back to sports, as we like to say, you're 100% on topic on Aaron Rodgers. I think he literally knew exactly what he was doing. I think, honestly, there's a conspiracy there with him and Johnson & Johnson. Why not try to implode the Jets franchise? The jingle is timeless. 727-858-6650. All right, we'll do our picks on the other side. By the way, has anyone noticed, not that you guys would, has anyone noticed that NBA ratings are down? Absolutely down. Big time. And I want to get into that a little bit too, but we'll do our picks on the other side. 6 o'clock straight up. Quick timeout. And again, my picks are from our good friends over at Play It Again Sports, 1450 Clemens Ridge Road in Deptford, New Jersey. Open 7 days a week. You can shop online, playitagainsports.com/Deptford. Give them a call as well. You can pick up curbside assistant. They got some used sports equipment and more. Also, for all you high school coaches out there, they also do embroidery. They do merchandise, hats, cups, tees, everything you need for your high school and or your youth football team. 6 o'clock straight up. Picks on the other side.
Ion Tampa Bay is the latest news, weather, and traffic for Pinellas, Pasco, Ellsboro, Hernando, and surrounding communities. Stay connected on X, Facebook, and their website, iontp.com. Ion Tampa Bay keeps you informed on breaking news as it happens. Southwest Florida's newest game in town. Sports Radio 102.9, the game powered by Ion Tampa Bay. We'll be right back.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad. Your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one,
You give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you. You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill?
Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Call or text the show at 727-858-6650. Now, back to Q.
Oh, my goodness. 727-858-6650. 727-858-6650. Angel got triggered on that one. I don't know. Joey B's taking a little umbrage to the mic. That's a great comment, by the way. Q's Death Star Mike might make enemies mistake. Dude, no, this is great, Mike, man. This is it a coincidence that our very own host is a diehard four-sport New York fan? What is that? What?
It's 4 for 4.
What is that relevant? That's just stupid. That's what is that relevant? Where here we go again with the eye on Tampa. How much do I have to pay to replace this commercial? All right. 6 o'clock, a couple minutes past 6. By the way, picks from our good friends, as I mentioned, over at Play It Again Sports. Also, Zen Auto Concepts, #1 detailing shop in all of Florida. Again, because you're reading the comment, can I get the live reading for a second? For the love of cars, Zen Auto Concepts, the leader in high-end detailing, paint protection. They specialize in SunTech XPEL paint production, high-end detailing, wet sanding as well in Martin County, Florida. Give them a call. They're open during the week, 772-463-8500, voted best detailing shop in the state of Florida. Now what? Go ahead. What is it? It's previous comment. What are we doing here? Are we going back and forth? Can I get to my friggin' picks so we can get into the NBA? 5 minutes on the man. Block his ass, will you? All right. We are at a week 15 of the NFL. Not bad last week, 3-2. Previous week, we were 3-2 as well, so not a bad winning percentage. But as always, our picks from our good friends over at Play It Again Sports, fresh roasted coffee, and of course, Sight Squirrel. Don't let the one you missed get away in a league, as we like to say, where the players always back their play. All right, here we go. First game on the docket. Kansas City on the road against Cleveland. Kansas City laying 4.5. You know, I'm a little when it comes to that hook. But we know how bad that offense of the Browns has been playing of late. Even Jameis Winston. I'm actually going to treat with the over. The total is 43.5. And I'll lay the 4.5 in Kansas City game #1. Game #2, that line has gone up since the Saints decided to go to, looks like a Model-esque of a quarterback, by the way. I don't even know the freaking kid's name. But anyway, this route, I do like Washington to continue to regroup Jaden Daniels. 7 in the hook again on the road. This is probably going to be a 31-10 type of game. Give me Washington on the road. So 2 road teams to start it off on a week 15. Game #3. There's no way the Jets should be a 3.5-point favorite on the road. And I know Jacksonville has been a bad football team, but the Jets have not earned the right to be close to a 4-point favorite. It's imploding. Rodgers is going to turn it over. He's going to get sacked. Jacksonville will win this game outright. Give me the Jags plus 3.5. Game number 3. Game number 4, the Bills and the Lions. Tricky spot for Buffalo, dealing with the weather, and then obviously West Coast, tough loss, or I should say the tough loss to the Rams. That was a game that I thought the Bills had, right? It just came down to some of the head coaching snafus, if you will, of McDermott. This will be, think about this trip right now. So they had Kansas City, the 49ers at home. You got to fly out west, and you got to come back. Now you got to take on Detroit. That is a tough spot. I think the Lions keep it rolling. This, if anything, reeks of the over. I'm not as confident with Detroit laying 2.5. That's not bad. You get a 3 with the hook. Okay, fine. But it's 54.5. I think this game has the makings to be a 33-30 type of game. I'm going to play the over in this one. If you back me in a corner, I would say Detroit at home for game number 4. And then game number 5, it's got to be the Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers. I didn't really like anything else on the docket, to be quite honest. The Bears and the Vikings didn't blow me away. The Packers and Seattle, I don't want to touch that game. The Falcons and the Raiders, the double dip Monday night, no. We heard about Brandon Graham's comments. We know how this offense has been slow starting all season long by the Philadelphia Eagles. Is A.J. Brown going to get his touches? Are the Steelers going to be able to get the Hurts? I know the Eagles are laying 5.5, but again, I think this is a game that the Steelers defense is going to come up with a play or two, and believe it or not, I'm going to take Pittsburgh with the points at home. So those will be your Week 15 Q's picks. Give me the Steelers, give me the over in the Bills and the Lions, give me the Jacksonville Jags at home, give me Washington and Kansas City on the road. All right, 727-858-6650. Now I got to speed up my picks because you guys want to comment in on drones. 727-858-6650. Have you been watching the NBA at all?
No. No one likes that NBA Cup.
I mean, should I wait? Are you going to go off like you just did a couple minutes ago? Should I just?
No, I'm just saying. No, no, I'm just saying because you can't. Everybody knows you can't compete with the NCAA invitationals and the tournaments that they have towards the very beginning of the season. You can't. And trying to put this together, thinking that everybody's just going to buy their tickets and end up in Vegas. We all know there's going to be a team that ends up in Vegas anyways. And on a side note, also about the whole LeBron thing, decided he wanted to go missing all of a sudden. But no, I just think it's absolute garbage. I don't like it. I think it's dumb, and they should get rid of it. But Adam is not going to do anything. He thinks it's a good product. You're not going to get a sellout crowd in Vegas. And then they decide to put those commercials together like they think they're going to sell this humongous package, and they're not. No one is interested, and the NBA ratings are taking a hit because of it.
So we agree these in-season tournaments are pointless.
Yep.
Would we also agree that the product is just not good right now? It's a bad product.
It is, completely.
I mean, teams, just to put it in perspective, right? The Sixers have been struggling because of the issues with Paul George and Embiid. The Washington Wizards are one of the worst teams. I mean, they've dropped 9 out of 10. I think they have 3 wins. Toronto is a bad team. The Pelicans are a bad team. The Jazz are a bad team. Portland's a bad team. You have 2 or 3 teams in the Western Conference, and then you look at the Eastern Conference. Cleveland had that great start. They're 21-4. The Boston Celtics are the Boston Celtics. And then you got the middle of the pack. And the other thing is that nobody wants to bring up is because these players decide, I don't want to play back-to-back. I don't want to make that trip. I don't want to do the old Texas trip when you have to go through Houston and Dallas and San Antonio. It was just gut-wrenching trip 15, 20 years ago. I want to rest. National game, I'm going to sit. Sunday afternoon affair, I'm going to sit. Christmas Day, I'm going to sit. Then you lose us as fans, and you lose us as viewers. And I don't care about these mid-season. What is the point?
It's dumb. Honest to God, it's dumb.
And I know people are like, oh, again, no one cares about. Yeah, but we care about the ratings because it's our job, and we're curious because why do you think they come out and say, hey, the Giants and Dallas was the most watched game, or the Eagles and the Packers were the most watched game, or the Yankees and the Dodgers game 4 was because that's what they do. That's what you brand everything around. You get the eyeballs. With the eyeballs becomes what? Revenue.
Yep.
More network deals. It's a bad product right now. And I think it's a watered down product because, A, they don't play any type of defense. This tournament was a failure. I mean, who cares? It was a failure. Like, I'm not watching this nonsense. Let's boost the regular season. And now let's have this NBA in-season tournament called the NBA Cup, where if you went and talked to 20 people, they had no idea what the hell. They're like, oh, the NBA Finals is in June. I mean, the viewership for this travesty was down double digits.
Yep.
And from last year's inaugural season. So it's averaging 1.5 million viewers on TNT, just 1.16 million viewers on ESPN. And the league itself is down 30%. 30%. And they just signed that big deal with Disney, NBC, and Amazon. I think it was $77 billion rights deal.
And then you take a look at the All-Star game. The All-Star game come next year is going to be an absolute joke. Basically,
It always is. It always is. College football is surging, right?
Yep.
Combat sports, UFC surging. You know, boxing is still whatever, but the UFC is surging.
Yep.
Bare knuckle surging. People watch Jake Paul, Mike Tyson. Man, she is ripping through that cow ear. Can you hear her?
Yep.
Oh, go ahead. Kiki. Okay. She ripping through it. I mean, just ripping it apart like there's no friggin' tomorrow. Like you were just ripping with the drones. You know, just a fed up trumpeter. So you got Disney's going to pay an annual fee of $2.6 billion per air on ABC and ESPN. Wow. I mean, you think they're happy? They got their own issues with stuff. But point being is, it's a bad product. Guys are sitting. Guys are hurt. There's no defense in the NBA. I always tell you this. I get into the NBA right around Christmas time. But now I'm like, I don't want to wait till spring.
Right.
It's a bad product. 727-858-6650.
On top of, you also look at when it comes to the floors, right? None of the players love any of the floors because it distracts them from going on. And who was it? I think it was X-Man where he put in there about, let me bring that comment back. This one, where he has run down the court, one pass, 3-point attempt, rinse, repeat. And that's what it's come down to. It's ridiculous that no one plays. Yeah, no one plays. That's why even college hoops is surpassing what the NBA is doing because you're not sitting there and watching this threes because that's exactly what it is. You go from one end, rebound, toss it down the other end, 3-pointer, we get back up the court.
Well, the other thing is, you know, the big man, Embiid, right? I want to sit and I want to have my ass camped out on the low block. But there is no defense. It is pick and roll. It is pretty much 1-on-5. That's pretty much all it is, to be quite honest with you. Now, it changes a little bit come playoff time where you have to half-court offense kind of ratchet up the defense a little bit. But the other point that you brought up regarding the All-Star game, I mean, that's a travesty because it's for entertainment, right? 727-858-6650. I am not. Whoa. We're going to get a ban right here. I see Man's comments and I see Joey B's comments regarding the dog. And the dog's off limits. I mean, do you see that dang mutt comment?
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to need a ruling on that from the listeners. Is that a blockable offense? Because everyone knows how sensitive I am when it comes to the pooch. I think that is a blockable comment right there. I mean, I would defer to you because obviously you have all the answers today.
I sure don't.
Dog whisperer, conspiracy theorist, NFL picks expert, drone expert, 80s knowledge expert. I do. I have you covered. I do have you covered. Some good movies coming out. Tournament are atrocious.
They are. If you take a look at last season, right?
Yeah.
So what? So everybody knew the Lakers were going to win the very first one. They act like they won the NBA championship early on.
Yeah, that's LeBron.
Right. And it's ridiculous. And by the way, that's a whole different story too.
Oh, you see his son went off in a little G League for Bronny with the 30 ripper?
Yeah, well,
I'm sure that did that lead off the talking heads this morning? I don't know. Did it?
Well, probably so, because you got to figure that what else are you going to do? Dad decided to disappear for reasons that I'm pretty sure everybody knows at this point, but he's freaking gone.
I'm not even going to go that. I'm not
either. But what I'm saying is he steps away from the court and then Bronny goes to work. If you let the kid be the kid, period. Just let Bronny be Bronny.
Did you ever see that? I think there's a little headline news that not a lot of people are talking about. I think it's very interesting. Back to the NFL for a second, that the Dolphins released Beckham.
Yeah, well, supposedly it was a mutual agreement.
Yeah. So Beckham, who signed the contract with the Giants, got a lot of money, turned around on ESPN and basically called out his quarterback at the time. Odell Beckham hasn't done anything since 2018. He had one solid season with Cleveland, then he bounced around to the Rams, Baltimore, and now the Dolphins, and he's been released. That Odell Beckham, the worst thing, and I've said this, the worst thing that happened to Beckham was that catch. That was the worst thing that happened to Beckham, was that catch on Sunday Night Football against the Dallas Cowboys. Great catch. But everyone wanted to put him in the Hall of Fame. I mean, his numbers, Angel, he last played 16 games. He's played when 16 were a full season, just twice in his career. His first 6 seasons in the NFL, he had well over 1,000 yards. 2020, 300 yards. He played 7 games. 2021, 6 games, 292 yards. 2021 with the Rams, when he was hurt and got, remember, he played well in the Super Bowl before he went down, 300 yards. Baltimore, 500 yards in 14 games, and then he's done nothing in Miami. I mean, and yes, Debo is definitely going to be the next. Debo can't catch a friggin' cold, man. I mean, it's embarrassing watching Debo Samuel sitting there crying and whining and complaining about throwing me the football. He can't catch it. But Beckham, everyone thought Beckham was going to ascend and be that all-world, Pro Bowl, all-pro, Hall of Fame wide receiver. And what he's turned into a journeyman wideout. That's it. He's turned into a journeyman NFL player. Never going to be the explosive player that he was with the Giants. There's something to be said with that. Never going to put up those numbers. I mean, he might not even be in the league next year. And he was well on his way to having 12, 13, 14,000 yards.
Yep.
He had 7,000, almost 7,000 yards his first couple seasons. Odell Beckham since 2019, collecting NFL checks, doesn't do anything. God bless America. Yeah. By the way, you know what she's doing right now?
What's that?
Can you hear the
wagging?
No, you hear the. She's trying to dig. That's what she does when she gets antsy. She wants to dig like there's a bone.
Yeah.
There's no bone. It's just her blanket.
Didn't you move up her? So is that for because
we had to? I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't. I mean, she's giving me the look right now because we know it's almost that time. But no, we had to move up dinner. Trust me, this dog, like in A Few Good Men, when they said, remind me, I'm a Marine. Is there no handbook? When you follow Chow, and he goes, yeah, we get 3 squares a day. This dog gets 3 squares a day and then some. She'll get her peanut butter treat. She'll get the frozen bone later.
Right.
Absolutely.
Ex-Madman had
seriously.
No. He had a good one here.
Oh, no, I'm looking at the joke.
Oh, no, I didn't see the joke. Because I was paying attention to what you were saying.
I'm wondering if X-Man has been to his diner of late, his famous diner where he's always getting topped off.
Could be.
Topped off.
I know. That's right. I heard what you said.
I'm just making it clear. Topped off.
I saw the joke.
That's all. Right? Freshen it up a little bit. You like the Eagles this Sunday?
Yeah, I do. Amidst everything that went on, I like it. And, some people I think Pete thought there were not as much as a blowout, but he figures it'll win by like 14. The way Pittsburgh's been playing, especially their defense, and yes, the Eagles, so-called have the number 1 defense in the NFL, but regardless, you're playing against the Steelers. This is a whole different team from even a season ago. So
Steelers have a real good offense.
Yeah. I think if anything, it'll be by 3. I know X-Man says Eagles by 8+. I think it'll come down to 3. And it might be even a late push, a late drive, because the way that the Eagles have been playing, very slow starts in the very beginning, you can forget about it.
By the way, Cliff on YouTube chimes in. This is from my Yankees conversation the other day. I mean, this is ready. You ready for this one?
Yeah.
The Yankees should be celebrating the simple fact that Soto went to the National League. Either way, Soto or Ohtani will be eliminated from the World Series. If Soto had stayed in the American League, especially the AL East, it could directly affect where the Yankees finish. With Ohtani on the Dodgers and Soto on the Mets, where the Yankees finish is not affected by the play of either. Now, that comment is not that, whether it's a troll or not, but that comment is just like, think about it. I mean, he's basically saying because Soto's no longer in the AL East, it doesn't affect the Yankees. When, yeah, it definitely destroys their lineup. And by the way, I don't know, maybe Soto have a little too much turkey. That Met jersey was looking a little tight.
A little tight, yeah.
Yeah, little presser
tight.
right there, right? You got a little baby fat to work off. Not sure what's more surprising, Bill in North Carolina or Q feeding his dog off schedule. It's not that I'm doing it off schedule, because the guys that have been listening for a while now know that around 5-ish or 6-ish, she would start to bark.
Yep.
So I get her up a little more earlier. But she's a smart friggin' dog. Like, she digs where the squirrels hide their cones. I'm telling you, this dog is like part hound, lab, retriever, and I think she got a little fox in her. Now, the other night we were watching Dexter, and she is smart. She knows when Dexter is about to go in for a kill because her little ears perk up. I kid you not. So we're going through Dexter, almost done. 4 seasons left. Then there's the new Dexter coming out. Have not finished Cobra Kai, and I think, I don't want to ruin this for anyone. Yellowstone, at this point, I can't do it anymore. I'm not going to ruin it for the audience because I'm not that person. You know, when you go on Facebook and you see that jerk off, that post, oh my God, I can't believe that's the killer. You're like, whoa, I want to go in fresh. Yellowstone, at this point, it's because of Costner. Kevin Costner ruined, again, Yellowstone. Wait, whoa. What, Joey? I got, these are great shows.
Hold on. I want to go back to Vincent here for a second. Who's he talking about? Needs drug tested.
He needs drug tested. Me, you. I don't know. The gambling line.
Oh, you know what? Maybe I think he was talking about ex-Madman because he said A+ is crazy. Okay, I got it.
See, this is what happens. Major pause. They go back and forth. The guys want to get in a pissing contest on the air. So what you'll watch this weekend in that game is how fast they try to force feed the ball. The problem with trying to force feed the ball to A.J. Brown is you're not staying within the offensive game plan.
Correct.
That's the problem when you have a wide receiver that comes out and you have a quarterback that constantly looks miserable. I don't get it. Jalen Hurts is young. He's a good-looking kid. He's rich. He plays with the Eagles. He's a franchise quarterback. He constantly looks like he's not having fun and he's miserable. Whatever. That's not a game face. It's just you're not enjoying life, my man. Just like loosen up a little bit. But if they try to force feed him early and you're going 3 and out and you're giving Pittsburgh good field position, Pittsburgh's got some weapons. And Russ Wilson, he's been letting it cook. I said he was done. He's played really well since Tomlin inserted him in the lineup. And remember, too, I said it was a mistake, and it hasn't been a mistake. So, here we go. Oh, Vince. Trying to pull the trigger. How is Belichick going to handle the walk-on who doesn't have NFL talent? Will he send them packing like Coach Prime? Will we care? Because he thinks, Vince thinks that I am a Deion Sanders hater. I'm not. Deion Sanders is a brilliant marketer. Deion Sanders backs up what he talks. He talks and he backs it up. And I said this last year, he's going to scare the shit out of college football. And he has. And this year they've had a much better season.
So here's a question for you.
Yeah, let me just say this.
Sure.
Belichick is not going to have the patience for that nonsense. But here's the thing that people forget. You know how much money UNC now is pumping in to the NIL.
20 million.
There you go.
Yep.
So you've got a little wiggle room. So he's going to have some patience in that regard. I think they had to drastically increase their program. Look, when Deion became coach of Colorado, that's when you saw the players. He told the existing team, "You guys aren't going to be here." He said, "My son's going to be the quarterback." He brought over the players from Jackson State. He recruited guys, hit the transfer portal. They figured they need to fix that line. They had to get a little more stronger. They've been able to do that this year, and it's turned into a successful season. I still don't believe Deion Sanders is going to be coach of Colorado for the next 2-3 years. I don't. I think Deion Sanders is going to be looking for maybe a Florida State. I think bigger things, and I don't believe he's going to go to the pros. I don't believe that either. But Belichick's at the point right now where everything else is gravy. Like Belichick, I don't see Belichick being that Belichick on to Cincinnati. And I brought this up the other day with Lloyd, and Lloyd started to laugh. I said, look, he's dating a much younger girl, a little more juice, a little more loose, right? He's got money. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. I don't think there is pressure. He's kind of coming full circle where his father was an assistant coach many, many years ago. He's going to try to enjoy himself. And he's pivoting a little bit. And this is his year or two away from the NFL to come back to the NFL. Right. And I get it. Great coaches that, were in the NFL, it doesn't always pan out. But I can also tell you that there have been coaches who coached in the NFL and they were bad coaches. They went to college and then they came back to the NFL and they turned out to be really good head coaches, i.e. Pete Carroll. Didn't work out early on in his career, went to college, came back, won a Super Bowl. We saw that. We've seen that all over the place, right? Lou Holt's a different animal for all those years than the Jets and Notre Dame. Bill Walsh going back to Stanford. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't, but it's a different animal. And I don't think you're going to see, I think you're going to see a lot of players attracted to the thought of playing for Belichick, just like they are playing for Deion Sanders because of the allure.
Right.
Absolutely. Spygate 2-0 to avoid 52-3 blowouts. Well, listen, I'll say this. He's going to be an attraction. Now, I don't know if, you've got the ACC network, right? So they'll probably show you some primetime games. Like Fox is pretty much in bed with Colorado. We know that. And Deion's done a really good job. I don't believe he's going to go to the NFL. I know we talked a little bit about that, right? But let me read off let me read off Joey's and then Vince's, and we'll close it out. More juice and a little loose. That's the name of Q's new gentleman's clothes. I mean, you guys quote me word for word. We put a lot of weight on the age of a girlfriend. Very suspicious. NFL doesn't want him, but they'll take him working college. Yeah, okay, I get it. Want to buy my beautiful beachfront property in Kansas. I mean, listen, say what you want. I mean, he's dating a young girl, substantially young girl. I mean, is it the first time? No. I don't think Belichick dating a young girl is preventing him from getting an NFL job. And I don't think Belichick's age has prevented him from getting back to the NFL. I don't. I think people look at Belichick and they just don't want to deal with him. Ayukame. Hiwanaska. Is that it? I can't say that word to save my life. Imagine if that was a fighter's last name. I would be shit out of luck. I would be done. And I think the girlfriend's transferring out of North Carolina. I can't wait for the A-Rod. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the word. Documentary. Oh, here's my what the frig for the week. I'm going to pivot real quick when we close it out. Did you see the clip of Mark Gastineau not shaking Brett Favre's hand and basically like, what the frig? Why'd you take a dive against Strahan? Because that broke Gastineau's sack record. Did you see that clip?
No, I missed it.
Oh man, it is absolutely priceless. Like he literally, it's like, listen, I remember that game. The Giants were a bad team, and basically Favre basically rolled right into Strahan to break the single season sack record. And remember, they didn't start taking sacks until I think it was 82. And Gastineau, great player. That sack exchange that we talked about, Marty Lyons and Klecko and Gastineau. I listen, I think Gastineau is a borderline Hall of Famer. I think you can make the case for him, but people didn't like him because they thought he was a dirty player and the dance and all this other stuff. But he put a little life, a little spark into the game, right? For those
Right.
Jet teams in the NFL. So he basically met Brett Favre or saw him out and about, so to speak. And Favre went to kind of like put out his hand. And Mark Gastineau was like, no, because everyone knows that Brett Favre was doing Michael Strahan a solid. That was 22 and a half sacks, 2001. The last was the last game of the season. He got it right around Christmas time, last game of the season. So it was, I think he had 3.5 in week 16, and he entered the season finale. They weren't going to beat Green Bay. He needed a half a sack. That's it. He needed a half a sack. And again, late in the game, I think the Giants might have actually won that game because it was meaningless for Green Bay at the time. But I think late in the game, Favre faked a handoff to Ahmad Green, and he basically rolled out directly towards Strahan, who, oh, by the way, was unblocked. And everyone looked at that, and they were like, okay, here we go. What are we doing? You're getting putting that graphics. Amazing video. I can't wait for A-Rod. Oh, my God. Come on, Angel. Oh, they want that video. No, we'll show it next week. But anyway, so the first thing that happened was, yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly what he did. He pointed at it like a Karen. He went like this. He literally went like this. Yeah, absolutely. It's like those videos when you see they run out of fries and all of a sudden like people start to flip out. He was incensed. Like, what are you doing? And, Favre froze up, didn't know what to say. I would have asked Favre instead of the rolling out. I would have been like, by the way, you want to talk about the misappropriation of funds? You jerk off. Nobody wants to talk about that. Excellent analogy, Gabe. Yes, it was. That was a good one. So check out the video online. All right, we got to start wrapping up tomorrow. Local time, 5:00. If you guys want to support a local card in Baltimore, BXNG TV, I'll be calling the fights. Not in Baltimore, but we like to say we are in Baltimore at the time. But we'll be doing that remotely. But you can support the local card. Also, I want to mention you've got some good NFL games. You have some very look. We'll get into the playoffs with college football next week, but Army Navy, and I think it's going to be a really fun game. I told you I never ever ever bet Army Navy. For those out there, I know Army's laying the 6. I think it'll be a low scoring game. That game is played in Landover. Army's had a fantastic season, but for years, back and forth, Navy, here we go. They can run the football. We know what kind of option and they run. They had a big win against East Carolina. They had the bad loss against Tulane, but they have won 2 or 3. I'm excited to watch that game. It's a special game for me. Watched Army Navy for years with my father, so I always enjoy that Saturday Army Navy football game. I think it'll be a low scoring game. You'll watch that game tomorrow, correct?
See, oh yeah, you kidding me?
Yeah, I know you'll be boom.
Go Army.
Yeah, I mean, listen, a lot of Army in my family, a lot of Navy in the family. I always root for Army. Army's had a fantastic season.
They sure have.
11-1. Yeah. I mean, their only loss was to Notre Dame, and they got waxed in that game.
Yeah, but no, I'm obviously every time I go from even whatever season it is and the outcome may have happened. But as a veteran, I will always be with my own. And so go Army.
You will always be with your own, and you will always look to shoot down the drones, and you'll take the Eagles with the points. All right, don't forget, Pete Shepard starts you off Monday to Friday. Pete Shepard shows 7 to 10. Then Martinez and company, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 10 to 12. Lloyd Vance with his Insider Football show as well on Monday at 8 to 9. You got Talking Hoops. You got Jay's show. So check out SR102 102.9 FM The Game. Don't forget to download the app. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, Rich Q on Q. Well, now you can just Google my name, Rich Quinones, and of course, Broad Street South, Angel Martinez, part of Coastal Sports Network. Download the app, get social with us. You guys are unbelievable hanging with us for well over an hour and a half on this Friday. So we greatly appreciate the fact that you guys stay locked in. I mean, think about this. You guys should be having dinner with the missus or the girlfriends, or the missus and the girlfriends and the mistresses. Or you should be hanging out somewhere, perhaps A, B, C, D team. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. But you've decided on Fridays to keep us locked in, and we appreciate that greatly. All right, everyone have a good sports weekend. Angel, you have a wonderful just the drones will not go over Tampa, my friend. You will be okay. And listen, you can always protect yourself. You can hide in the studio and be the incredible shrinking Hermano. Diner, not as important as Q. See, because what he's trying to do right now, because of his mutt comment, he's trying to get back in my good graces. And it was a very nice comment. It was a very sweet comment from Man right there, and we appreciate that. But we know right now he's probably sitting there having a little egg white, little spinach, a little scrap on the side, and he's waiting for Flo, Peg, Betsy, Sally, Sue, Marge, Midge to walk over to him and say what?
Top you off, hon?
Top you off, hon. There you have it. Freshen you up a little bit. All right, everyone have a wonderful Sports Friday. Have a good weekend. As always, be safe, be sound. We'll be back in the saddle on Monday. Until then, I'm Rich Quinones. Hasta luego, buen día.